know there's quite a few videos on the Omarosa situation, her getting fired and them saying that she was cursing and she had to be dragged out. Now, I don't believe that story, and there's something bothering me about all the stories that have been talked about, all of the videos that have been made concerning Omarosa. Everybody is dragging her. Everyone is dragging her. And I don't see how Black people can be dragging her with the very media that does not care anything about them. Now, I watched a few interviews, and the one that she did, she talked about John Kelly. And she said that she was the only Black person, Black staffer in the White House. And that says something. You know, John Kelly is a known racist. There is an article with the New York Times, and they were talking about the situation that happened in Charlottesville, and he shook his head concerning, the Mr. Grab him by the pussy, saying there were very fine people on both sides, which means he is covert. He then talked about the plans to remove plaques honoring George Washington and Robert E. Lee. It showed a lack of appreciation for history, and also that Robert E. Lee was an honorable man, and men and women on both sides of the Civil War, were good people. Then he went on to argue it's wrong for us to look back in the past through a lens of what is acceptable as right and wrong today. If this is how he feels about antebellum chattel slavery and the Civil War and these terrorists, because George Washington, all of the founding fathers, everyone is a terrorist. They are bigoted, racist, discriminatory, evil, wicked terrorists. To me, Omarosa, which I'm not a fan of hers, but it looked like she just played the game. She played the game. She got in where she could fit in, and she's trying to make as many coins as she can off of her situation, off of her 15 minutes. And I can't be mad at that, and I'm very glad, she's married to a Black man, because you can imagine the cries of the word BW, and the word I'm talking about, that she would be called if she wasn't. Thank goodness, because I'm so sick of that word. But one video that I watched was with The View, and one of the white co-hosts said, why was there only one African American woman in the White House, as if Omarosa had the final authority behind hiring people. And then they were talking about how Omarosa cursed and she tried to go where she didn't have authorization, and they went into that. This is something that a White House correspondent said, and we are supposed to believe what a White House correspondent said, really? But this co-host said that it sounded like the Housewives, and they were talking about Atlanta Housewives because that's the biggest show of the Housewives. So that was a dig at her as a Black woman and at Black women. They were talking about she's going to write a book. She's going to capitalize off being in the administration. That's great. That's what she's there for. She should capitalize off this. There has been so many who have capitalized off Obama's administration and every administration before that. But they tried to say it in an anonymous way, this Black woman is going to capitalize off this. And then they tried to shade her again by saying, she's from The Apprentice, she, as if that lessens her intelligence or her standing or her education or anything like that. When nobody wants to talk about Trump's appointment to the Supreme Court with no experience, he hasn't even held a deposition by himself ever. He knows nothing. He has no experience, but yet he would have a permanent seat on the Supreme Court, ruling over cases. Really? See, this is how they get their job, because a lot of these people who say, I've worked so hard, I built myself up, I started here and got here. The bullshit is bullshit, because I've seen it in the regular working world. They will say the same BS. They pat themselves on the back. They're so ready to give their story. This lie, I don't know where this fantasy comes up in their head, but they didn't get there by their education being smart or anything. They knew a certain person in college and they networked and they got close to that person, and that friend put them in that position, a position that requires you to know certain information and have certain skills that they don't have. There was a man who had a degree in marine biology, but he was running a business. Like I said, I can't. Now, on CNN, it killed me when I saw Angela Rye acting a buffoon. I mean, they were not laughing with her, they were laughing at her. This was one of the most embarrassing moments ever. And I'm in my mind thinking, like, why does she have to do this with Brooke? She's a covert as well. And she has discreet white nationalists that watch her show. But yet Angela Rye want to act a buffoon. One comment that I liked is that, they tried to paint Omarosa in a certain way, like she was a drama queen. So they decided to get rid of her. Remember the housewife reference, they tried to paint her with that brush that they like to paint black women with. But she said there were non-melanated people in the White House who were full of drama, but yet they still have their jobs. She was just doing these bitches' dirty works. And it seems like Negroes never learn. I mean, nobody else would ever drag their own like this on national television, in the media, in social media, ever. They have a code. Black people don't have a code. She wanted to kiki with Brooke. It was so petty. And then April, she understood the implication of what dumbass Angela Rye did. It was disgusting. And she said, I would never kick someone when they're down. She was trying to let Angela Rye know, don't do this, while you're on this platform in front of this covert wench, Brooke. But she didn't understand, and she probably doesn't care. And then you had Robin Robbins from Good Morning America say, bye, Felicia. Like I said, you're on national TV. Conduct yourself in a certain way. Whoopi Goldberg said, I hope you find your people. They just wanted to go for the jugular with Omarosa so bad. Like, I can understand you not liking her politics or whatever, but please stop doing this in the media. Conduct yourself in a certain way, because nobody else would do this to their own. This is the media that does not have anything to say. They will not list, the male that killed 2 students in Aztec, New Mexico as a terrorist. They would not list the Nevada shooter that killed 62 people and injured over 700 as a terrorist. George Zimmerman, the terrorist and murderer, got away with killing Trayvon Martin, and Tamir Rice was executed, and that terrorist was never listed as a terrorist to kill a 14-year-old child. You had black women up there kikiing with this same media. I can't actually wait to hear her story, because I'm sure she has a lot to say and I want to hear it. And you can't be mad at her for playing the game. I'm sorry. A lot of us play the game at a regular old 9 to 5, barely above minimum wage plantation job. I hope she makes a lot of coins off of this. I hope she, whether it's from her book or, telling the media what she knows, or if it's from getting hush money so she won't say anything, I could care less. I hope she just makes a lot of coins from this. And black women want her to call out the Trump administration and to say things and not play the game and be sister soldier, when the last time I checked, I heard, a lot of black men and other people saying, black women shouldn't be in the front line. They need to stay off the front line and be feminine and girly and woman and be in a woman's place, right? So why do you want her to be Sister Soldier and tear down a system that the majority of black people uphold? Yet you want the black woman to fight against the system that you uphold. That's unbelievable to me. I don't believe the story that they're telling about her, even if I am not a fan of Omarosa. John Kelly ended up pushing her out, just like Matt Lauer pushed Ann Curry out, if you remember that situation. That's what happened here. And some of the comments, hit it right on the nail. One thing that I wanted to read is there's a lot of people who are talking about, oh, she's fired and Joyce is still employed from The View and she's unemployed. She's going to be in the unemployment line. And the comment where it says that she grew up in the projects and, how she earned her way to the White House. They were talking about people who were wealthy and all of that stuff and were used, and that she was used, and said go back to the projects and get a clue and start over. I think that's disgusting and very white supremacist to say, because they say pull yourself up by your bootstraps. She did. Her mother paid for her education. She took it seriously and she used it to get where she is now. But see, that's not good enough. She's still a nigger and she needs to go back to the project, which is what that comment was saying. Somebody stated that Omarosa looks great, Joy looks like an old hag, and somebody compared Whoopi to a character out of Planet of the Apes. More racism. That's just overt. These people are just overt with it because they can hide their face on the internet. One thing that I did notice, the reason why a lot of these translucent females are clapping at black women who are dragging Omarosa is because they're jealous of Omarosa. Omarosa, for her age, looks very good. She's very beautiful, and they know when they get her age, they won't be able to be in the media. They won't be able to look like that unless they go get their face chopped up, and they still won't look quite like that. And what I gather from this is a lot of hate, a lot of jealousy coming from the fact that Omarosa is a beautiful woman. She is very attractive. And she is a dark-skinned black woman, so that's a double whammy, and that cuts them deep to their core. But I will go ahead and leave it right here. Go ahead, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next one.